live.
The following video was brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Save 10% on world-class hosting or any GoDaddy product when using the code POD88 at checkout. Now, the latest.
Mark Scott with us today. He joins us live here on iHeartRadio and, of course, 50 plus AM FM stations across the country and around the world. So, Mark, you have got this incredible book that we were talking a little bit about before we joined with our iHeart stations. Talk to me a little bit about what your goals were when you decided to write this book.
Sure. I got the idea for it when I was actually working on a history assignment when I was a student in Miami. And I just thought the secondary main character, Lope de Aguirre, who was a true person that existed in South America during the conquistador era, it was so brutal and ruthless. I just wanted to write about him and relate it to, my own experiences, which thank God are not too similar. But the super interesting historical character, there is actually a movie out there called he had a nickname, something about death or killing people, and I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but I just found him so fascinating that I wanted to write about it. So I started writing. It took me a year. I wrote about a page a day, tortured my wife at the time with making her read it one page at a time. Every day I'd come to her and say, oh, look what I wrote last night, like a little kid. And she'd very nicely read it. She goes, "That's good, Mark."
That's awesome.
So, yeah, but the book now is very different from those days, just because I kept farting around with it and changing it. But yeah, it just never stopped.
We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Scott joins us here on our big broadcast, talking a little bit about his latest book. So how does this book that you've just written here compare to some of the other books you've written in the past?
First one, and the only one so far with the historical character in it. It was, I'd say, in a number of ways, this one's a little more brutal than the ones that came afterwards. I think I was less experienced, more experimental when I was writing it. And I've tried stuff since, just not along the vein of this plot line. So this is not a huge amount of action, but he likes to beat people up and blow things up, and so our main character has his adventures, and his roommates, they're just witnessing the whole thing, wondering if it's going to stop.
Fantastic. It is Mark Scott. He's with us today here on our big program, and you're joining us here on iHeartRadio. Plus, 50 plus AM FM stations across the country and around the world, the Odyssey app, Spotify, all the various places. We will, of course, post the videos on BitChute, Rumble, Clout Hub, and a few other spots as well. And for a complete list, check out our website, JiggyJaguar.com. So, Mark, your book here is absolutely amazing. Talk to me a little bit about some of your research and that whole process of bringing this book to life.
Well, the research started pre-interweb, so I actually had to go find books in the library about the historical character.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. So, and he has a crazy story where he was part of the conquistador era, was trying to, look for El Dorado, which was, of course, just a fantasy made up by the local tribes to get rid of the Spanish, when they came by. Say, hey, El Dorado is just over the next hill, and just keep going. So the Peruvian government was trying to get rid of all their conquistadors, or would-be conquistadors. and used the same lie that the Indians had been using, and said, hey, let's put together a big group of you guys. We'll send you down the Amazon and you can go find El Dorado. So they put about 300 people together and sent them on their way. Lope was not in charge initially, but through his assassination method of advancement, he killed a couple of guys and became leader of the party. They start off in Peru. They end up on the east coast of South America, where the Amazon dumps into the ocean, and they're like, "Hey, we didn't find any gold at all. Let's go back and take over Peru." So they start marching. They get out of the water and just start walking overland back to where they started, and they find a large. And the interesting thing is the government already knew they were coming because the Native Americans told them, "Hey, by the way, these guys are coming back to take over your country." So they had a big army waiting for the 300 or so conquistadors, and offered them a deal. If they surrendered, they wouldn't prosecute them or kill them. So everybody left except for Lope de Aguirre. And he was left alone with his daughter in a hut. He then killed his daughter, perhaps out of fear of what the Peruvians would do to her, but nobody really knows. And then he got a quick trial, was drawn and quartered, and they sent the 4 parts of his body around the new kingdom to kind of as a lesson to what happens to people who try to become king.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is Mark Scott with us today. He, of course, has King of Peru. It is just an amazing, amazing book. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about how your journey from Navy life aboard the USS Mount Whitney to your time in education and banking helped shape you as a writer and bringing us this book.
Well, I'd say the Navy experience was great as a reader. I was in with a group of friends who were reading pretty deep stuff by Dostoevsky and Goethe, and so we would all trade books with each other. And I got a really strong background in some classics, especially Russian and German classics, and just sort of took it from there. I actually, while I was still in the service, before I even joined the Navy, I tried writing my first book when I was 15. Didn't get real far. There were too many other distractions when you're 15 to sitting down at a table and typing out a novel or handwriting it. But I had plenty of time underway on the ship to abscond with a typewriter. Nobody knows what typewriter is anymore, right? and try it again. So I made 2 or 3 abortive attempts while I was on the ship in the middle of the ocean somewhere. Never went anywhere. Got out, went right to college. I was out of the Navy, and 2 weeks later, I started my first class at Miami. And that's where the idea came from. I did not try to write a novel when I was taking classes. That would have been insanity. So but right after I was done, I started working on that book and torturing the people around me with it.
We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Scott joins us here on our big broadcast, coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today. And we are going to take a brief time out here on iHeartRadio. And when we come back, we are going to be continuing to chat here with Mark Scott about his incredible book. Join us over there at JiggyJaguar.com as well. We're going to have the complete interview posted. If you happen to come in late or you miss something, we will post that interview over there as well. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we will have more with Mark Scott here on our world famous Jiggy Jaguar Radio broadcast. Back here live, coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio. We have got Mark Scott back with us here on our program. And if you want to get a hold of us online, you can do so over there at jiggyjaguar.com. And so, Mark, you are absolutely amazing with this fabulous book. What's been some feedback that you've gotten on the book so far?
Well, I actually just got some today from my publisher's editor. So who called it a very enjoyable read. So this is somebody who on one of my books told me that about 40 pages of it were boring. So I trust their opinion.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So on that book, I ended up just pulling like 36 pages after that little bit of
wow.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the brutal honesty. I'd rather have that than, not really knowing what's going on.
Yes.
So,
Well, we have got a great guest with us today. Mark Scott joins us live here on our broadcast. So, talking a little bit more about the King of Peru, the concept of hearing the voice of a long dead conquistador is fascinating. How did this whole thing come to inhabit your imagination and the main character's mind and this whole thing, Mark?
well, to the latter point, my main character, I suspect is schizophrenic.
Okay.
So I've left the barn door open a little bit for that, but he does things that schizophrenics do. Like one of the things I made sure of, Oxford, Ohio, where Miami University is located, always had just the worst water. I remember going there and you'd sit there and wait for the sediment to settle before you could drink the water or before you wanted to.
Wow.
And so my main character, believes that the city is trying to poison him and the entire population of Oxford, Ohio. So he takes it on himself to deal with the problem, which is something a schizophrenic does, is they identify a problem, think they're the only ones that can see it, and so therefore they must fix it.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
It is Mark Scott. He's with us today. He joins us live. Now, the book deals with two forms of devotion, one to God, one to a delusion. How did you navigate portraying both with empathy and realism, my man?
Great question. Thank you. Um, that's where Thomas comes in, his roommate, who comes from a well-knit, tight family where they run a mission downtown. Dad's a pastor. So they're very close family. Thomas talks to God. And then, Matt's talking to Lope, who talks back. And he asked Thomas at one point, when you talk to God, does he ever, say anything back? And Thomas looks at him incredulously and says, no, of course not. But so that's, I tread lightly there because I'm not out to discredit anybody's belief system. I have my own, but I did enjoy the juxtaposition of both characters talking to people or beings beyond themselves, outside of themselves.
Yeah. That is amazing.
So I hope I did a good job of navigating that. I think I honored everybody, but
that's great.
Yeah.
We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Scott joins us, talking about the King of Peru. Now, Matt's journey as a former Marine adds a deep psychological layer. How much did you draw on real world experiences or research about veterans and mental health to bring this part of the book to life?
Yeah. So I initially had him as a sailor who got out of, gets out of the Navy, but then I decided I needed him to be a little better at, have a skill set that most sailors don't have, like small arms training, or explosives. But so there, the military is very tough psychologically on its members.
Yeah.
And it's I remember, and I've heard this from a number of veterans, there's no boot camp to become a civilian again. They're great at turning you into what they need you to be. A machine, a killing machine, Yeah. But getting out and integrating back into normal society is not easy, even if I didn't have a rough time in the service. I didn't see combat.
Yeah.
And even then, just being around college students again, it took me about a year to not hate college students.
Yeah.
Because they would whine about, and I allude to this in the book, I have to get up for an 8 o'clock class. And then I was thinking, 6 months ago, I was chipping ice off a flight deck at 5:30 in the morning in the Arctic Ocean. I don't think an 8 o'clock class is too much to demand. So Matt does not like college students, but he loves Thomas. He just thinks his roommate is awesome.
Yeah.
So that's how he sort of views the world. There's him and his friend versus everybody else. And he's surprised when people actually talk to him and want to, and he's not always pleased by it either when people want to speak to him and become his friend. He'd much rather be alone watching, Bonanza on streaming than have to interact with college students who he was 4 years older than and considered whiny mostly.
We have got a great guest with us today. Mark Scott joins us talking about The King of Peru, which is his latest book. The relationship between Matt Thomas and Renee feels like the emotional core of the book. How did you approach writing that fragile triangle of friendship, faith, and love, my man?
Very carefully. the Renee is there as a connection to Peru because she was doing mission work there before she enters my story, the story that I, and Thomas it's clear that Thomas has great admiration for her. As an older sister, she was, the one getting into trouble. He's a chain smoker. That's her fault because she took him behind the woodshed or whatever and gave him his first cigarette. And then Matt, and she has qualities, a sort of a wildness about her that Matt has as well, and that Thomas is attracted to, because Thomas is such a calm individual. So when Renee and Matt immediately click on the way home from the airport, they click in the backseat of the car. He's instantly jealous because he hadn't seen his sister in over a year, was hoping to really reconnect, and suddenly, his roommate is getting in the way of that. So it's important to the story. She is his adoptive older sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. Mark Scott is with us here on our program, talking about the King of Peru. The novel takes place at Miami University in Ohio, your alma mater. How much of your personal experience from that time made its way into this story?
Oh my God, a crap load. Almost everything that happens to them, almost every event, not every, maybe 4 out of 5, actually occurred on some level. The way the campus feels in winter, the water, the local bar scene, the students themselves, the way they reacted to a KKK rally. It's all of that is based in, I made a lot of crap up. I made up the storyline, but a lot of that stuff really went down. And it was great to have that. I was there for nearly 4 years, so it was great to have that to call on to compress it. Nearly 4 years of experience to compress it into less than a semester or a month or two of experience for the main characters. So there's a lot going on for them that in real life was spread out. Yeah.
That is awesome. We have got Mark Scott with us today. He joins us live here on our big broadcast. Now, if The King of Peru was adapted for a film or television, who would you want to play some of the different characters?
Well, I'd certainly want to be Lope because he seems to be the most fun. I don't. My Spanish is awful, so I probably really couldn't do it. That's something I really haven't thought about. I always picture the characters in my head as I write about them and what they look like. But I in this case, I honestly can't say who would play who. What all college age characters with some parents thrown in. It's funny. Sometimes I have an idea of who I'm writing, who that picture in my head. In this case, I think I know what they look like for me, but I'm not sure that anyone else sees that. So, yeah, I think everybody's got. I think that the guy who helps me with my social posts probably has a better idea of what the main characters look like than I do. Yeah.
Hey, if
Yeah,
if that works, that's how it works.
yeah.
So we have got Mark Scott with us today. We are wrapping things up with him. We'll get to our next guest here in just a few moments here on iHeartRadio. Before we do that, give us some details. How do we find the book? How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Where are some best places online to send people, my man?
Well, you can go to marquiscottauthor.com, which has all my existing books, and will have this one on there. The book will be out before Thanksgiving. I imagine a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. I'm getting good feedback from the publisher on that. Then we're moving things along, but it can be found locally here in Cincinnati at a number of bookstores. Just ask for it and they'll get it for you. Online at Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Goodreads. It'll be on all that. It's got a pretty good distribution.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But just give it a couple more weeks. I'm trying. I got a big book signing right after Thanksgiving, and I want to have this book there for it.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, thanks for joining us. We're going to get to our next guest here in just a few moments, but we really appreciate you making time for us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me on, Jiggy.
Appreciate it. There he goes. That is Mark Scott with us today here on our big program. We're going to take a brief time out. When we come back, we will have more here on iHeartRadio. Our next guest is going to be joining us here in just a few moments. If you're listening to us on 50 plus AM FM stations, we'll be right back here in just a few moments. If you're listening to us anywhere else,